Appreciate it. On his own.
All right. Let's. So there was the problem. It was running at 85 is Cole Kmet.
Those penalties offset. Replay fourth down.
All right, for the kids at home, those are words we probably shouldn't say. But again, we've probably picked up a little more profanity, Carl, in our weekly football this year because of the lack of background noise.
Yeah, the crowd's not being there. It was pretty funny. There was a penalty in last night's game, I think it was, or maybe it was the Bucks game, and there was a guy who got called on a punt. Special teams, you hear him in the background. What the? And I mean, it's just as clear as day. You know, you're like, and the announcers are like, well, you can see he's disappointed in that call.
And again, now I don't have kids, so it doesn't really, I don't sweat that. I was listening because I was driving around doing errands this morning. I was coming back from the gym. I heard Randy and Andy talking about it. Just real quick as a sidebar, when was the first time that you heard an F or an S word as a child? Do you remember it?
Yeah, it was early on. It was early.
Yeah, I was saying Andy led kind of a sheltered existence out there in the Pacific Northwest. I think I was 8 or 9. My dad, obviously, it's kind of like the Christmas story. Every time the dad was working on something, it'd always be an expletive when something went wrong. So yeah, maybe we just got an earlier start, you and I.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because if you are around somebody who cusses really well and they do it well, they probably had a really good teacher. So, and that's kind of.
I learned it from you, Dad.
Yeah, that's kind of the case where most people are like, man, you know. But yeah, I think I don't know the exact age, but I was exposed to it. My parents weren't like that. They were like, here's what you're gonna hear. This is what it is.
I'm one of the things, again, no point in making the resolution. It's not going to happen, but I definitely do cuss a little too much, especially on the golf course. That's when I speak, and we'll get to what happened on the PGA Tour coming up in a bit, but more on the Nickelodeon broadcast. I liked it. I thought they did a really nice job. One of the cool little wrinkles to it, because again, a young audience, is when they had a penalty on the field, they had young Sheldon, the actor that plays young Sheldon, explaining the penalty. Take a listen, Carl.
False start. And it is. Offense number 51. 5-yard penalty. It remains third down.
A false start. That's when an offensive player illegally moves after lining up for, but prior to, the snap. Like when my dad starts shoveling in dinner before Mom says grace.
It's cute.
It's cute. Good. Yes.
I mean, I was curious how they were going to run. Your CBS, you got all the different talent you can draw from to make the broadcast work. Needless to say, after the broadcast, Sean Payton did win, and he agreed to get slimed. Take a listen.
Head coach of the New Orleans Saints, and I'm about ready to get slimed after our Super Wild Card win on Nickelodeon this weekend. Ah! Man.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, he got slimed. They also did virtual slime. Whenever there was a touchdown, they'd have like these virtual slime cannons in the end zone, would like slather whoever scored the touchdown. So it was actually pretty cool, man.
Well, you know what though, with all the interest, all the things in our lives, right? And I'm talking about kids. Mm-hmm. Think about your kids, right? They're on iPads, computers, laptops. They're doing all these games and all this stuff. How do you get them to watch a sports event, Mike? This is a great way to get them involved. So I don't think that we're going to see the last of this. I think this is just the start. I really do.
Now, speaking of sporting events and stuff getting on TV with those parabolic microphones down in Hawaii. By the way, I know you've been to Hawaii. It's one place on my bucket list. Still haven't made it out there, and I would definitely bring the golf clubs. Justin Thomas playing out there as the tour's underway earlier in the year. He misses a putt, and he says something, a derogatory homophobic slur. Okay, as he misses a putt. The PGA Tour star called himself out and basically said, you starts with an F and ends with a T, as he kind of muttered it under his breath, but the microphones picked it up as he walked over to finish his hole and puts it out. And he said, hey, there's no excuse. I'm an adult. I'm a grown man. Told the Golf Channel after his round, no reason for me to say anything like that. It's terrible, and I'm extremely embarrassed. It's not who I am, not the kind of person that I am. Unfortunately, I did it, and I got to own up to it. So in the old days, that would be about it, but the cancel culture is going way, way after this guy now.
So what do they want? They want him to quit
I mean,
golf?
Like everything else they want. What do you want him suspended for a year? I mean, the guy, it's... I know that there's, in this world we live in now, that there's no place for this stuff. I understand that. But to me, it's like there's got to be some common sense when if a guy screws it up and he says it, and he apologized and owns it. If you want him to cut a check to some defamation society for something, okay, fine, he can do that too. But the stuff, like everything else you see on social media, it just goes from 0 to like 100% outrage in a millisecond.
Yeah, I saw this over the weekend pop up and I really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. I did see where he apologized, and again, this was like right after the tournament. This wasn't weeks or days. And you know, Mike, I think again, this is the when you're in the moment and you're playing in these sporting events and you're focused and you're trying to win these events. We've said this all the time. There are things that are always said. You know, basketball court. We just talked about the NFL and the lack of fans, and you're hearing more than you've ever heard. It happens on the golf course. So, I'm not condoning the activity, nor am I excusing what he said, but I agree with you. I think, it's one of those situations where you go, okay, what was that about? He kind of explains, and then, we can move on. But here's my thing. If Justin Thomas is using this phrase on a weekly basis at PGA events, then it becomes an issue. Then it becomes, all right, now you're a multi-time offender. That's a different situation than once. And so I'm with you. I think we have lost that in society where somebody can screw up, especially young people. And I know Justin Thomas is a grown man, and he admitted that. But I'm saying with young people, like, their lives are over. They make one mistake. It just shouldn't be that way.
Right. And again, it was directed at himself. That's another thing if you're calling another individual. There's for me, there's a sliding scale on the offense, but a lot of people in the cancel culture don't see it that way. But obviously he's going to make amends. Meanwhile, speaking of golf, we'll talk a little bit more about this coming up in part deux. But because it looked like the Steelers game was in hand for the Browns, I started flipping over during the TV timeouts, and I was watching Tiger. Then I watched about the first hour of the Tiger Woods documentary on HBO. This is based on that book that was Benedict and Katayan, Armin Katayan. Remember we had him on the show to promote it a couple of years ago? Yep. So I watched it. How much of it did you get to see last night?
Oh, I watched the whole thing, and it's excellent. Bo was like today, I'm watching the Tiger Woods thing, and I don't think there's anything to us to keep watching. There is. There is. I
mean, and again, I was being polite on Twitter today when I said Earl was a handful. But, Earl had a vision, and as we know, we've seen it in sports. There's nothing better than somebody breaking the mold, and obviously Tiger or the Williams sisters, but sometimes the dads, it's like, damn, man, just bring it down a notch. But if you hadn't seen it yet, I'll let you guys get caught up on it, but we'll talk a little bit more about it. Tiger's camp is not happy with it, as you'd expect him to be. It is Dukes and Bell, man. Guy Talk. Don't forget to grab your Dukes and Bell Heyman Blondale from Oconee Brewing. Wherever your brews are sold, go get you some.
Yeah, man. More Guy Talk on the way. The one thing that I do like about this Tiger Woods documentary, Mike, is we're going to hear from the woman who's never spoken. And that is a part of the second part of this that I'm really looking forward to, which is the woman who kind of broke this all open. We'll talk more about it, man. Hey, coming up, who's going to win tonight? National championship. The Ohio State taking on Alabama. It's next.
Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
Andy and Randy, middays 10 till 2.
Let's talk to Tony in Forest Park. Tony's got a question, too. Hey, Tony.
All right, so my question, it continues from yesterday where we talk about what can the Falcons give us at this point. And because obviously we can't get no legitimate wins, I say I just need the Falcons to score in all 4 quarters so I can get my full discounted Mason players.
Tony's trying to get $100 off his tire purchase.
Tony's talking about he getting some new tires.
Hey, man.
Ain't mad at you, dog.
Whatever they can do for you.
Andy and Randy middays.
Or stream anytime at 929thegame.com.
Spectrum Mobile is the fastest growing mobile provider in the nation. It's easy to see why millions have chosen a better way to mobile. With Spectrum Mobile, there are no contracts and no added fees. Even nationwide 5G is included at no extra cost. Switch today and you could save big. Grab your current mobile bill and use the Spectrum Mobile Savings Calculator to see how much you can save. Click to learn more. Spectrum Internet required based on Q2 2020 subscriber data. Services not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
At MD Anderson Cancer